So for this week's assignment, you're tasked to build a modern web page wireframe using recent UI features found in whatever mockup tool that you're using that will showcase a fictional new social media site where people will share recipes and maybe pictures of dogs or any other random idea that you might come up with. But the goal is to demonstrate your understanding of the layout of a modern website. So what you're going to deliver is a wireframe mock-up that you're going to create using one of the online tools that you choose. And I've given you several to choose from, but the one that I like to use is Moqups, Moqups.com. So they do have a free version. It allows up to 2 projects. You'll see that I've kind of exceeded that, but you can always add new pages to the project as long as you haven't exceeded the space. But to me, it's a very easy tool to use. Besides that, some people use Figma. There's other applications out there that will help you do this. But I'm just going to do a walkthrough of using mockups to build just a very simple website. I'm going to do the home page. And if you want to do this along with me to complete this week's assignment, you can. So once you sign up and then you go ahead and log in, it will take you to like a create new project page, to have like your existing projects. And then what you're going to do is you're going to create a blank project. Now, this is a really good app, especially if you're doing like a mobile app. It has like wireframes and things like that, different types of diagrams. But we're going to create, what I want you to do is you're going to create a blank project. Now, because I've already kind of exceeded my two, I'm going to just open up one of my projects and then go to a new page. Um, and you can kind of see the configuration of my page so that you can, mark up your new project page to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to go to pages and I'm going to say new page so that I can get a new page. Okay, so what I like to do, because I don't want this to be a very complex, assignment as far as a wireframe, we're just basically going to do a very basic like home page. And so I set my page settings to be 1,000 and 1,000. So 1,000 in height and 1,000 in width, just so that I can kind of get a square page, and then I'm going to work with that. Okay, so in addition to having, you've got like different settings on the right side that will change depending on like what's selected, on your page. You'll notice this is going to change as I start building my page. And then on the left side here, we've got like different tabs that we can use different shapes and different icons to be able to build out our wireframe. So again, like I said, we're going to make this very simple. Okay, so if you're able to do this right along with me, that's a good thing. And then all you have to do is just add your brief paragraph, explaining like how your wireframe reflects as far as modern website design. So we're going to first start off, as we talked about in one of the modules, that one of the types of graphic elements that you should use on your website to provide like identity or branding is a logo. Now, again, this is a wireframe, so we're not going to really get down into, finding a logo and putting a logo on there. We're going to use a lot of placeholders on here. So I'm going to go over here to stencil and I'm going to find a circle. And the circle is going to represent as far as my logo. So I'm going to make it a little large. And if I double click into that shape, any kind of shape that you have, if you double click, then you can actually type in it. So I'm going to type logo. And again, like I said, what we're doing for our wireframe is just we're just kind of putting placeholders of where we would normally put things once we start building our website. Another thing I'm going to do in my header area here is a I'm going to have my heading to my website. And so I'm building a Cajun food website that's going to provide like recipes and Cajun restaurants and things like that. That's my favorite type of food. So I'm going to type Cajun food paradise. Again, whatever type of website that you want to do the wireframe on, you can. You don't have to use the exact words that I'm doing. Okay. And so I'm going to make this, I'm going to double kind of select that. And remember, I told you over on the right side, you'll get different settings and different configurations for whatever you have selected. So I want to change that because that's going to be sort of like my, almost like my logo. And so I'm going to change this to like maybe a different font just so that it looks a little fancier. And remember, I told you contrasting. We talked about contrasting and fonts, so I don't want to have everything the same, but I don't want to use too many fonts. But for my logo, I want to have it something a little bit more stylish. Okay, and then I also want to make this a little larger. So I'm going to maybe say 60. Okay, and that means I got to kind of stretch it out so that I can see it all. Now, if you notice with mockups, as I move, notice how it will kind of either vertically or it will horizontally center things for you. Okay, so we've got our logo here. And you know what? I may make these a little smaller. Um, let's see, I'm going to try 48, then make my logo just a little smaller. And see, as we adjust it, like I said, it will tell you how much space is in between. Notice that. And then the blue line tells me that there it's horizontally aligned. And we talked about, remember, alignment in one of the lectures. So want to make sure that we have some nice alignment. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is most modern websites have like the navigation menu, underneath. So like a horizontal navigation menu. So I'm going to go, another thing you can do besides just scrolling, you can actually type in like what you're looking for. So I'm going to place a horizontal menu underneath, and I'm going to stretch that all the way so that it goes from border to border. That's like more of the um, modern look. Now, the way that mockups works, okay, if you double click into the menu, then what it does is it shows you like a list, a comma delimiter list of like what the different, notice home, apps, games. So whatever you want to appear here for the different menu items will be included in this list. So I do want a home, and then I'm going to say recipes. I'm going to say restaurants. And again, this is what you want for your, the website. And this is not the website that you're going to do for your project. Okay, this is just, just a website that we're just practicing creating a wireframe. Okay, so don't feel like you have to, this is not your, you can be as creative as you want and come up with an idea for this assignment. Now notice the little asterisk here. With this menu, with this horizontal menu, whatever has the asterisk in front of it, it's going to show that it's been selected. So since this is going to be the home page, what we want to do is we want to actually have it where the home menu item is the one that's going to show selected and not this fourth one here. I'm just going to have four menu items. So like I said, I'm going to keep this simple. So I'm just going to have the four here. Okay. And again, you can add color. Like see if I select this, how, I can change like the different colors and things like that. But I don't want to, I'm not going to get into that. I just want to keep this as a basic wireframe. Okay, now below that, a lot of the modern websites, they'll have like maybe a hero image or some kind of banner or something like that. So I want to have something similar to that. Now, again, this is a wireframe, so I'm not going to get into actually trying to find a picture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to find a placeholder and say, okay, is where the image would go. And so if you scroll down, you'll see image placeholder, and that's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to stretch it across, and I'm going to come down just a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to zoom out somewhat. Oh, that's too much. Let me see if I can Can I tell it what number? I guess not. Okay, never mind. Okay, I'm going to zoom. I just want to scroll a little bit because I want to start seeing some of the bottom as I start to build it out. Okay, so this is going to be my hero image. And then what I want to do is I want to have some kind of little overlay, that's going to say something, about like, maybe a tagline or something like that. So in order for it to show, because I'm thinking I'm going to have some kind of food or something here. So I've got to be able to allow for that text to be able to be seen. And for me, the best way to do that is to have like maybe a rectangle that I can kind of has a little bit of transparency to it. And that's what's going to hold as far as like my tagline. So I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I want this to, because this is going to be very colorful. So for me, I'm thinking I want to have it black. Okay. And then if you look down here, you can adjust the opacity so that, whatever that image is that's underneath in the hero can actually be seen. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some text on top of this, and this is where my tagline is going to go. And of course, that text needs to probably be, white so that it can be seen. I want to make it a little bigger, so I'm going to say 30. Um, and then I think I want to do like maybe a drop shadow, to it. So, I can change the opacity and everything of the drop shadow. Now, again, we're using placeholder text. So maybe I want to have like what the tagline is going to be, but I don't want to we try to use placeholder text because what it does is when you're using like a wireframe, it prevents people from having to read, wanting to read, I should say, wanting to read the text, and not focusing on the layout or not focusing on the design. So what we do is we use Latin for this. And so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to pull up a website. Let's see, how's it spelled? R-E, Lorem Ipsum. And I have a link to this, but I usually use this website here to give me like some Latin, so that I can use it for placeholder text. I'm just going to maybe copy a little bit of that Latin there just to use as the placeholder text. Okay. And I'm going to center this so that it's centered both horizontally and vertically. Okay, so that's my tagline. Okay, all right, and then next what I want to do real quick, I'm going to add a footer down here. So I'm going to grab that rectangle again and I'm going to stretch it all the way out. This is going to be my footer. I'm going to do the, say, the background, I'm going to make it black. Okay. And again, I'm keeping this sort of like just a grayscale because I don't want to really, again, when you're showing someone a layout, you don't really want to start working on the colors and things like that, because then they'll get sort of caught up in all of that. So a lot of times, with wireframes, they will be sort of like a black and white or a grayscale design, just so that you can just show them the layout. You want them to just focus on as far as the layout. Okay, so in addition to this, what I want to do is I'm going to place some text that's going to be down here, my copyright, and I'm going to use the paragraph. Now, I don't need all of this, and I'm going to replace this with just a copyright 2025, all rights reserved. Just some basic what we normally have in the footer, and I need to change the font color of that so that it shows up. Okay, and again, you can start see how you can move it around to make sure it's nicely centered on the in that section. And then what I also want to do is I'm going to have some social media icons down here. Now, I could use placeholders for social media icons. I could put a bunch of rectangles or squares or whatever, but Moqups does have some icons that we can use. If you click over here in the left column and click on icons, then you'll see various different icons that you can use. So I'm going to have one for YouTube. So I'm going to have a YouTube one, and I need to make the color white so that it shows up. Um, I want to have, I'm old school, so I still do Facebook. So I'm going to have a Facebook. And again, I need that to be white. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it being lined right now. I'll show you how to do that. And then, what is it called? X for now instead of Twitter. Okay, and make that one white. And let's try one more. Instagram. Okay, and I want to make that white. Okay, so I think it's, let me see, the control key. No, it's the shift key. So I hold down on a Windows. I'm not sure what it is for Mac, but on a Windows, I can hold down all, so that I can select all four. And then if you notice, I get this extra little pop-up context window that says, okay, horizontally center them all, vertically center them. So I want to vertically center them all. And then what I want to do is I want to distribute them horizontally so that they're all kind of spaced out, So then now that gives me a nice spacing, for my icons. Okay. So I got a nice little layout going. So now here I want to have some content. What I want to do, because this is going to be sort of like a recipe, maybe feature some featured recipes. Okay, so I'm going to create a card. Okay, of a card UI that the card is going to hold like a picture of like the food. It's going to hold maybe a title, just some brief text and some other elements. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Go back to stencil and I'm going to select rectangle because my card holder is going to be a rectangle. So let's go ahead and size that however I want. And let's see, make this about maybe 250. Okay. All right. And I'm going to build one, and then you'll see that I'm going to actually copy it so that I can have three of them on this page. Again, keeping this very basic. Okay, so I want to do another placeholder because remember I told you I wanted to have an image. Okay, and I want to have this sort of centered in that rectangle. Okay, maybe bring it down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to have a like a title, and I may have to make this a little smaller. So let me go in and make that. Ooh, that's too small. Let's try 22. Okay. And this is going to be, I could use placeholder, but I'm just going to say it's going to be name of food item. Okay. All right. And I make sure I place that as nice as I want it to be, and that's fine. And then I want to have some text, which is going to just like be a brief description of like the food item. Too much text, so I'm going to go in and I'm just going to have two sentences. So I'm going to get rid of everything else. And then, of course, that's going to get resized. Okay. And it's 14. I can see that up here that it's 14, and that's good enough. Okay. Actually, I'm going to move these over a little bit. Okay, so I've got like my image, I've got my title, I've got some brief text down here. I want to create maybe a button so that they can maybe get recipe, something like that. Okay, so that's the button, the action button. And then I'm going to add, to my design, I'm going to add a rating so that, people can, I'm thinking, when people like, since this is sort of like a social media type thing, when people look and see like the recipe, if they like the recipe, then they can rate it. And so then someone else can go in and say, that's a really good recipe. Okay. I think that's going to add to the user experience. If I see a recipe, and especially I'm going to feature like the best recipes, on like my homepage. Okay. All right. So now that I've got this card looking exactly like I want it, um, I can select all of the elements on that card and I can right click and I can say group selection. Okay. And see, now it makes it like one thing. And then, so what I can do now is I can copy that to the three spots. Okay. And I'm going to get the margin space that I want. Okay. And I'm going to select these. Okay. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to say that I want to vertically center them. Okay. I mean, I can do top and bottom because they're all the same size, but I'm going to say vertically center. And then I'm also going to say that I want to distribute horizontally so that they're all distributed. And then I'm just going to move it over so that that one is centered. Okay. And then that's it. So, that's a mock-up. That's a nice little mock-up that, I can show my stakeholders or I can show different folks to say, okay, is this a good layout? Is this something that you'd like? Of course, you can add more to it. But I just wanted to walk you through as far as using mock-ups, and this is how you're going to do the assignment for this week. Now, if you have the free version, it won't let you export this as an image. Okay, so what you'll have to do is you can either like zoom it down, which I still have a little bit of issues. Should let me put a number in there, but it doesn't. You could zoom it down and do like a screenshot of it, and then paste that screenshot into a document where you would actually also include that brief paragraph that's part of the delivery, for this week's lab. Or you can go up here to savings and then just make sure this says anyone with a link can view and copy this link and then paste that link into your document and say this is the link to my wireframe and then have that brief paragraph underneath that. And that's what you're going to turn in for this week. Okay. So other than that, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. But besides that, happy designing.